Oh, hello, hello. This is Dirty 20 Gaming. My name is Kevin, and these amazing people have come to play a game with me tonight. And that makes me happy. And they're subscribing all over the place, which also makes me happy. Uh, Financially happy as well. So that's a measurable form of happiness. I think maybe that's what people. Deep philosophical thought, leave it for later. This is a fucking game. Uh, These amazing people have joined me again, and it's a big deal tonight because it's the finale. So, before we get to the finale, let's start with the people. Let's start with Sean. Tell us about your own self, please, and pop any links
Hello.
into there.
Yep. Hi, it's Sean from Dells for Donors. You can find me here one last time on Fridays as we see if my normal online streaming goes through and I make it or not through a game. But Actually, be getting some meetings setting up hopefully for next week that we can start getting some talks for the charity event. So I will definitely be
Yeah,
keeping you guys updated in the um, on the Discord,
please
so
do.
that basically when that all gets put into play, I'll make sure it's updated. But right now, that's what I got going.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's go just around the block, so to speak. Primus, you're next.
Hello, Hello, everyone. I am Aaron, also known as Primus. I am back for potentially the final time for a little while, playing Mickey O'Houlihan. You can find me over on Twitter at Primus_cast. You can find me over on Charlie Xavier D&D. Starting in 2 weeks, I believe. We were supposed to do our session 0 for Strahd yesterday, but the all important BBEG of real life gaming, which is scheduling, decided
Yes.
not to happen. So
Oof.
yeah, we're hoping for session 0 next week, and then our first session will be in 2 weeks. But still super pumped about that. Really excited. We'll see how long my character survives.
Yeah, Strahd is good. Strahd is good. Good dark fun. If you want to target, I made it to close to like milestoning up to level 8, and then I did a very rude thing, and Strahd didn't like it and killed the hell out of me. But anyway, next around the table, we have Solar Dasher.
Hi.
Hello.
You're gonna find me here for the last time
Oh,
with a doggy trying to get into food.
yeah.
But besides my lovely little dog, you can also catch me when we resume on Thursdays with King's Pyrite, where I play
Yes.
Luna.
Yes.
Me. I got
You
cute
got the
little paws for
paws.
right now. I
Yes.
love it.
Yeah. Awesome. Uh,
So,
yeah,
yeah, that's pretty much it. Or you can also join us on our Discord. Yeah.
it's already up there. Thank you already once. And that brings us around to Eddie.
Hi, my name is Eddie Elfman. I'm an Edmonton-based voice actor. You can find me for the last time on Friday nights right here. That's tonight. Congratulations. Playing this lovely game. And then I believe this coming Monday, we're back from our break where we're doing a Buffy the Vampire Slayer TTRPG. We're
Yes.
wrapping up the season. We're going to battle against the big bad, probably eugenicist vampires,
Yeah.
which, if you want to unpack that's a lot of a lot of big bad evil energy, and then besides that, if you want to find me on the other interwebs, you can follow my LinkedIn, sorry, my link tree, different life, and check me out on Casting Call Club. And then I posted a YouTube link where I was, for a few lines, I was someone's dad in a kick-ass comic book dub. So if you want to give that
Nice.
check that out, that's a part of YouTube that I didn't know much about, is that people just do comic dubs all the time. So if that inspires you to investigate getting into voice acting or making those types of videos yourself, like, absolutely, and give that creator some love and some support.
Absolutely. Thank you. I love supporting other creators because we all know how hard it is to do this, even if we profess that it isn't that hard. But I guess that comes around to me again, and I do what I always do: deflect, deflect, deflect. Come and watch us on various nights of the week. Many of us playing many games, 4 or 5 nights a week at the moment. We are in flux. So tune in 6 o'clock most nights. If we're not there, tune in the next night. Chances are we will be. Tonight, we're using Roll20 as our virtual tabletop of choice. The character art was done using Hero Forge. The background is from Pixabay. It's actually an image of the Magna Carta. And the game system that we're using tonight is Monty Cook's Stealing Secrets for the Devil. This is our final night, so let's do this. The 4 of you are back again. Again. Every time you come back, it's slightly different. You know, the skyline's moved a little bit. There's safety things, social things are different. Every time you've come back, it's been to a slightly different place. Slightly. It adds up. You got just enough time to think as you're racing back towards Callum's in your various stolen vehicles and or skateboard, I presume. Oh, quick interruption. What is it like to skate on 2023 streets after 50 years?
So is this post getting something deep fried?
Yes. Yep.
Then he actually has a good amount of energy. Strangely, his phone is charged.
Yep.
And he has some music that he hasn't listened to in so long that he tried to recreate, but the only person he was in contact with, I believe, was hard of hearing, so he couldn't recreate it perfectly. And like, it's good to hear. It's good to hear female rappers again.
Nice.
Something you missed.
Fair. The 4 of you blasting through this city, it kind of hits. It's a completely different city. Before you can even really think about that, you come around that final corner to Nowhere Road, and down where 23 should be, the whole world just into a long, snaky wormhole into the gridded darkness beyond. But nobody notices. Cars are driving up and driving through the gravity well and up the other side like nothing happens. People are standing in front walking the dog, very slowly being turned into spaghetti as they get sucked into the tube.
Right. So, do we suppose that we jump into that again, and it will take us where we have to, or do we head down to the church instead? Because I'm thinking, Callum may be out at the moment.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you.
That moment,
I
2
don't think
people,
we're
a
gonna
dog,
see
and a
Callum
fire
again.
hydrant, boom, 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 down the tube. Nobody notices.
Did
Or the
they
dog
like
and his leg up.
scream?
Oh, they're still talking to each other as they go. Although there
Doesn't
would be a
necess-
really wild Doppler effect as it's and then gone.
Be quiet, Hugh.
Do we want to check up on Callum and make sure he's okay?
Yeah, if you
I
want
don't
to
think
jog
the
on
house is
inside,
there anymore.
because that's where the house was.
Yeah. Do we got a lot of rope on us?
But like,
I
I don't
see
think
anything
Callum's
strong enough to-
there.
Remember, I think he went down the tube before us the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys saw him go at the end of the last.
Cause like I think I remember him saying like at the start of all this, if that place disappeared, he disappeared.
He couldn't
Oh, no, he
exist.
couldn't
He
leave
couldn't
it.
exist outside of that place. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we just have to go to the church.
I think so.
Yeah, I like spaghetti. I don't like being spaghetti. Works for me. Race to the church.
Sure.
So not fair. So not fair. I haven't been around an engine in 300 or 400 years.
Just hold on to the bumper. I'll tell you.
Yeah, he'll give it a shot until he starts going like
Yeah. Too quick.
Probably over like 15 miles per hour and just won't like quit. We'll
Yeah.
just let go
Yeah.
immediately.
No. Bzzz. Yeah.
And the
Anyway.
accent will slip through. Man's not supposed to experience those.
Forces. Having
It's
thoughts
like-
about how your knees are gonna hurt tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but narratively speaking, the four of you head across this complete changed cityscape. Behind you, that cone of change, I'm not going to call it destruction, change is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. As you run up the steps to the church, to St. Paul's Cathedral. Well, when you come around the corner and see St. Paul's, I don't care what's going on behind you. It's freaking St. Paul's Cathedral. It's gonna make you stumble in your steps, right? It is stunning. Especially maybe even more so for you guys because you've been back. Maybe especially more so for Tyler because he's seen manual labor for the last 50 years and that's what put that up. But it's a spectacle, but you're quickly driven on by the vortex behind you. And as you run upstairs and inside, we're going to cut to that sort of double scene where I tell you stuff and you tell me stuff. So as you head inside, the first thing you notice is that there's a lot of signage about. This week's sermons appear to be focused almost exclusively on the "Thou shalt not steal" theme. But to go along with that, there's no overt guards. You guys get to respond. This is that in character, out of character fun bit.
Yeah.
You don't have to respond to that signage at all. You can tell me something completely different.
Around what time are we arriving at the cathedral?
At that time of the day where the sun comes through all those tall, thin stained glass windows and just floods the inside with that nearly mystical lighting. So early afternoon.
Sunlight time.
The
Yeah.
theme
Sunlight
is "Thou
time.
shalt not steal,"
Yes.
but there's also a heavy theme of the only person that can judge you is God. So there's a lot of sections where they make it so you have to be in a room alone.
Yeah.
Without other parishioners.
Yep.
And
Bless you.
particularly the room and where the original piece of the church
Yeah.
is one of those segmented rooms where you wait and there's like a red green light for you to like go forward.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
like a water slide, no one bumps into each other, so no one else can hear each other sin.
It's
Yep.
basically a large confessional.
Yeah, so God only can judge you, the purple lines, and trust. Yeah, okay. It's all about trust, but yeah, perfect. The next thing that you notice as you're heading in there is that the clergy that's in there is watching everybody like hawks. They're watching for strange behavior, except in previously described areas. So now you guys are kind of one ahead of me because you already beat this one with the first thing. So
Okay, so there's actually security staff, regular patrols, and cameras all over the doggone place.
Yep.
I have enhanced my, what do you call it?
You got some cards here.
What? Doesn't want to go. I have made it a longer range to where I can affect the skill I have, which is electrical disruption.
Yeah.
I can go up to I can add an additional 300 feet.
Yep. So you can do that once you get
So
there.
I can once I get inside,
Yeah.
I can disrupt all the cameras.
Oh yes. Yep.
And make the security guards seem like they have to go to the security office, all of them at the
All
same
that
time.
goodies. Yeah. absolutely. Once we actually get into the adventure itself, but we're still at the bit where you get to tell me stuff about the world.
Oh, I
So-
forgot about that.
This is the
Mm.
fun part because you're planning, right? That's what this is technically
Yeah.
is you're planning and finding flaws in the system as you plan, right?
Well, they're short staffed today. There's a flu
Okay.
going around.
That's perfect. Yep. The flu. Okay. And my third edition is I'm actually there's yeah, cancel that one. And there is at the far end, at the actual crossing point and beyond of the cathedral, there is practice for some major event going on. So there's all the bishops and cardinals and mitres and the croziers and all the paraphernalia up at the other end of the church, of the cathedral. That's my final one.
I have a weird
Yep.
joke one. We don't have to do it. The person who's organizing, because it's so serious that they have to get it right, and
Yeah.
they've been practicing it over and over again. The cardinal who's in charge of organizing all of them thinks it's best if they know this in their sleep backwards and forwards, so they have to do it blindfolded to get the ceremony down right.
Yep. Okay. You guys okay
Is
with that?
Is
Yep.
that yeah? It's,
Yep.
I've already generated one.
Oh no, that's all good. That works for me. I mean, it's that much to get rid of it, but yeah, it'll absolutely give you a round. So yes, with not much more preparation than that, bugger it, let's go. You roar up the stairs and into the building, knowing those things. Off to down at the very far end, there's a bunch of bishops and cardinals and whatnot moving around with their hands out in front of them, trying not to bump into each other. Even the little blindfolds that they've got are sort of white with gold late and the trim and the whole thing. They are. It's funny. Like somebody's got to put that to music and put it on the internet because yeah, every single one of them who knows their stuff. I mean, they've been doing this for years, just walking around. Also, inside you can see, like I said, there was quite a few people hanging around watching, but you can see where there's spaces where there would have been more. So you don't have to overcome much of that at all. And they've built these little, like tents inside. And this is this whole trust theme. Every tent, there's a big sign that says thou shalt not steal. And then as you go through the flaps of the tent, and it's one person at a time, the flaps of the tent have the words written on it. We trust you. He's watching. And one at a time, you see people queuing up one at a time to walk in.
Okay, so is it a large crowd today?
No, because of the sickness that's going around. Nobody wants to go someplace where people are sick. So it's not a large crowd. So there's 4 or 5 people sort of at each of the posts around the cathedral because they've got all these places where it's sort of trust exercises.
Well, I was just trying to figure if they're doing one at a time,
Yeah.
there's a queue line. Believe 2 of us can follow in behind at least one of the others because 2 of us, I believe, can turn invisible.
Mm-hmm.
I do have invisibility, yes.
So do I. So if we have to do that,
Tyler,
Mhm.
what happened?
Okay.
It's all right. Just go with it. It's fine.
Yeah, that's okay. I have a lot
So
of
we just have to figure out which tent is the one we need.
Well, there's signage.
Okay.
It's easy enough.
I think it's probably the one past everything.
Yeah, way off in the
On the other
darkest,
side of where they're doing their weird
the darkest of corners. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's so
yeah.
different to how
You
they
said
were
that-
doing it 300 years ago. Like,
Yeah. Those
so
people could have
strange.
done this shit blindfolded.
Mm.
But yeah,
You know, like,
yeah.
back in my day, they respected the church.
Oh, that is why I actually recommended we not do this one first. So,
As
but
as you're
Councilman,
having that conversation, Tyler, you said it. You guys walk all the way down the aisle, past all these little booths with the things in them, and they've made a little walkway so you can walk past and look down on the practice. They've turned it into just like something you can, as a spectacle, just watching the practice. And you can
Yeah.
walk right past them, right up to the apse. I think that's the curvy bit on the end. I think it's called the apse. And in there, in that whole area, yeah, why not? That whole area is covered behind this huge hanging white canopy. And it's the same as the ones back that you've walked past all the way up, except this one doesn't say we trust you. This one just says he's watching. And there's no guards visible.
Oh, there's no like cardinals off in the corners that are watching or anybody?
They are, but
They're
you
down there.
specifically, your specific wording was that this was about trust. So they're, yep.
All right.
Plus,
I'll
they're short
pick-
staffed. So because of that,
I'll
yes.
pick 13 people that are, I don't know, trying to practice something, and I'll just say to them like, you want to stop messing around and just go feed the homeless. And he's gonna walk through the the partition.
Beautiful. Yeah. 13 times feed the homeless. Anybody else doing anything before you go?
Oh, the same thing I had said before. Disrupting all the cameras.
Yeah.
And making it so that security all head to the security office
Perfect.
because of
So
the
yeah,
emergency.
perfect. Yeah, do that first, and it pulls away the last couple of guards that were hanging around. Mick, anything to add, or are you just going to sneak in after into mayhem? Just follow through.
I don't really have anything to make this more interesting.
Okay, well, that's fine. We're not there yet. And Ted,
Yeah, I mean, he's just
the two of you
watching
just-
Tyler make the half the clergy
Absolutely.
practicing just stream out of the church.
Yep. They turn, and you hear things like, why are we arguing about matters of faith when we could? And they storm out in a huff, off to feed home. They have no idea how to do it because, but never mind. They're off, they are heading out the door, dragging a whole bunch of people with them off to do great works and feed the homeless. As a general idea, the cameras are shot everywhere around here. Yep. As you look around, it's all yours. Tyler, you stepped through the curtain. You said it. Inside there's already somebody standing there, looking at this arc of stone. It's one of those. It's the Gothic ones are like this. The pre-Gothic ones are rounder. The window frames. And it's just most of this side and a little bit of this side, and it's propped up in this specially built case. And he's got his arms crossed looking at it, and as the curtain rustles as you come in, he says, it's pretty, but I'd rather know the math.
The math?
Yeah, why does it work?
Why does it hold something up?
The arch, yeah.
Well, whenever you're in any sort of statics problem, you have to make sure that all forces remain zero. So you have to account, and he just starts talking about.
And he grins and lets you
Statics.
go. Yeah, lets you go for a while. And then says, actually, it was a rhetorical question, but I am impressed. And he kind of looks around. Does the other three of you walk in at that point? You can hear
That's-
Well, it would
voices.
just
You
be
can hear
Nick.
Tyler.
The other two aren't invisible.
They're invisible, but are they going in? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mick would go in at
So-
this point.
As the last of you comes through that curtain, you get that first hint. It's incense, really strong incense.
Okay, they left it on. How dare they? Don't they know it's a fire hazard?
There's none here. This is, you're smelling the past, right? It's the first of those things. You guys, it's right there. There's this huge arc. It's maybe 12 feet tall up to one side, and then there's about 2 or 3 feet of it on the other side. Looks like a wishbone that's kind of been broken.
Hmm.
Little
Kind of,
wishbone that's been broken.
yeah, kind of like that. Yep,
Yep.
yeah.
So Mick will kind of start walking up to it. He's kind of gazing at it.
And you start to hear, as you get closer, you start to hear the chanting. Of
Now you said this was inside of a
many
case?
monks. Normally, it's built. It's on a stand, and you can see where in front of it there used to be a glass case. But with the trust me thing that's going on, all that's there is one of those little purple ropes.
Oh,
Mick is just looking it over. You know, I always wondered where people got the ideas for such things in the first place. 'Cause someone had to think this up before it just happened. I always wondered where they came up with the idea.
and Ted just kind of walks up, invisible still. Is
Yep.
the other guy still in there with us?
Yep.
Most likely from the Greeks. And it says it
Yeah,
out
but when did the
loud.
Greeks get it?
This guy turns to look at the voices. Blake, you see this? You're invisible. Do you respond at all? This guy's all of a sudden.
No, she's
Yeah.
going to remain. They're going to remain cool.
Okay. As he spins to look, he kind of stumbles back and falls through the purple rope and just automatically reaches out to stabilize himself. And his hand lands on the arch. And you all feel it at the same time. And you see the look on his face. It's absolute terror because he's coming with you.
Mhm.
There's the thump to blackness and the thump back to light. And
Oh my.
he screams because you are now about 50 feet, 15 meters above the floor of the old pre-Gothic cathedral. Standing on a workman's
Scaffold?
construction scaffolding. Yeah. On that with your, in the presence of these original windows. There is work ongoing to take the windows that were there out. The leaded glass is coming out. But you guys sort of pop onto this scaffolding with this engineer from 2023. And he's just like,
Hey, whoa,
Hey,
you're
Kenny.
really calm right now, and you aren't upset
"Oh."
about anything, really. You're just kind of agreeable, and you want to learn while you're here.
Yeah, give me a roll, your magic. So it's a D10, right? Or are you very, very, very good with something by now?
I'm just the liar version of myself
Okay,
can do
so
this, but
yeah,
it's not a deception or anything.
no. So
Maybe
you're
we
actually
could say
gonna
it's quick-witted
perfect. Yep,
to snap
Yeah.
this thing.
yeah.
Oh, I should roll on.
You roll wherever you like. If you want to roll dice, I don't.
Okay, I rolled a 7.
A 7. Okay. Yeah, it's enough to make him go. And you hear him go into a litany that he's probably heard somewhere. I am stressed. I allow myself to be stressed. The situation is worthy of this stress. However, I will not let the stress overwhelm me. And he's trying
Is
to
he,
talk.
is he fear? Is the mind killing me right now? Like what?
He's trying to talk
Nick.
himself down. Yeah.
So now when we
It's
pop back
not-
into here, do we Are we visible or are we still invisible?
The two of you aren't sure because from the floor below, all that distance below you, in a much darker building than the beautiful St. Paul's, uh, you hear the gargoyles have come to life, and you look down and there's a whole whack of bishops and cardinals and whatnot standing about in all their medieval glory, looking up at you, and one of them is pointing up at you and holding up his crozier as a sort of in a threatening manner. The gargoyles have come to life. Go.
How many are there?
Um, a bunch more. What your max is 13?
No.
You
It's
can't get 'em-
13.
you can't get them all, but you can get some if you hit 'em.
Go ahead,
I
Mick.
want to do a thing.
Okay.
So Mick is just gonna look down and in reference to one of my favorite anime characters of all time, Roy Mustang, he's gonna snap his fingers and all the incense and all the candles in this cathedral all light at the same time. And
Okay.
Mick just looks down to them. Let the light of God shine upon you. Do not show fear, for he is basking you all in his presence.
All right. I see where you're going with this. What skill would you like to use for that?
I think this is just straight deception,
Okay.
honestly.
Yep. Fair enough.
And I have 3 points in it, so I believe that's a D10.
That is an 8, 10. That's actually a D12. You
Okay.
get a D6 automatically, D8 if you're good, D10 if you're very good.
I rolled like shit. Feels bad.
That's okay. 5. Okay. You yell that, and the lights go, and the same guy, his hand never drops. The crozier comes up even higher. He says, "Do you see? They try and use the powers against us."
God damn it.
Hey, you're not supposed to say that in here.
Yeah, yeah. And they profane the place by using that. Yeah, you're just making them madder, Mick.
Oh,
Blake.
this is why I only go to licensed tabernacles and never these places.
So you can have a drink? Oh, that's not what you meant by license.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry. Blake. They just called you gargoyle, and it looks like they're gonna try and do bad things to you. You're muted.
She's gonna use her clinging and walk down.
Okay. Still invisible?
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Is she invisible? So yes,
Yep.
if she's still invisible, she's gonna
Sure.
keep being invisible.
Absolutely. So you just walk down the wall towards them completely unseen. Perfect. Yeah. Tyler, what are you doing in this situation?
He's probably gonna climb down and just. We're all children of God. It's okay. Just calm down. Don't judge us unless you haven't sinned before. And he's just kind of gonna say that to them. I'm not
Yep.
sure if he's lying to them or if he's just preaching to them, being like, you're
Yeah.
being irrational.
Yep. I like it. Yeah, give me the D12 and
Okay.
let's see what we get.
Keep going to roll physical dice.
Go ahead.
It's more dramatic if I get a robot to do it for me.
not,
That's a
if, not if
3.
it does that. It's a very dramatic failure.
Dramatic.
This makes sense though. I love this. The dice are helping because up until this, every single episode has just been walk through these people. You just lying your way through it. Technically, in this case, if you haven't said you were actually trying to lie, so there's no damage taken, but this stuff is failing. It's just not working. Another one. Yes, I see the demons. I can feel him trying to change my mind. Ted.
So hearing that call come out,
Yeah.
still invisible, I'm going to take it. So
Yep.
he saw the others. He sits there. All right, let's see if I can do this. and in the loudest booming voice he can, having masonry skill,
Yeah.
knowing the proper spot within this arch to talk to get it to do the best reverb
Yep.
that he can get.
Yeah.
You, those who claim to be my followers and
We're gonna do this thing.
faithful,
Okay.
would sit there and call evil upon those who are lost among the flock of this city.
Deception, or are you lying?
I'm gonna go with deception
Okay.
because I'm still playing a planner, so
Yeah.
but I have a D10 in that.
Okay. Give us a 10. See how that goes.
Alright. Well, it's like the rest of tonight.
Yeah.
I've
I kind of hope it
I've
is.
got a-
I kind of like the idea that the whole first round
I've got a
fails.
bit of an idea if this is
Oh, 9. Okay.
no!
Yep. A few others. Oh, well, here you go. A religious schism occurs. Probably should have expected that. There's now 2 groups on the floor. One for each side, so to speak. One who actually thinks that maybe God has decided to appear in the form of a gargoyle on scaffolding, and another group that's pretty sure you're full of shit. But at that moment, you hear from the other end this little voice. Is no one just gonna tear this shit down so I can build mine? And way over in the doors, they've opened up both doors on the way in, is this little tiny person standing there with a bunch of rolls of paper under one arm. I mean, you're still having services. The workmen are speaking in the raft. Isn't somebody going to tear it down?
Does it actually look to have been does it actually show to be the signs of the fire damage?
No. Nope. It didn't burn down in the Great Fire because you guys sent the
Okay,
fire
that's
the
what's-
other way. So
Yeah,
they're,
that's what
they're
that's what I
taking
thought,
it
so-
down. Yeah, that's why the glass was being taken out of these windows. And if I remember, I didn't look this up recently, but if I remember correctly, some of that glass ends up in the new one.
probably.
Yeah.
So I guess at this point we need to figure out, because if it's the original one, does it need to be, because the one we walked into was still the original,
No.
but in London?
The one in in 2023, the
and
one you
ours.
walked into is the one designed by Christopher Wren. The one that you were standing in right now is the one that should have burnt in the fire and then been rebuilt by Christopher Wren.
Okay.
Hence, the little dude in the door.
That's why I was just making
Christopher
sure.
Wren. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's why I
the
said-
engineer. Yeah.
Was it the base? That's why I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Which one did we walk into?
Yeah.
So-
And to underline that, you hear one of the cardinals from below say, and they really hit the first word hard, Mr. Wren. You will be respectful when you enter this building. You may have convinced the politicians to tear it down and replace it with some spectacle of your own imagination. But for now, it is still a religious place. And he said, yes, 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 yes. Get them down or make them work. And the cardinals just, oh. You guys up in the rafters, there's still about sort of 7 or 8 of them that actually look like they're getting ready to start climbing the rafters to come
Yeah.
after you. Yeah.
I'm climbing down, and I just
Yeah, that's right. You were
I'll
climbing down.
probably reuse a very similar line and go, just give away all your earthly possessions and live like the people in the book to the 8 people they're trying to climb up.
And now that to insist that works, you got to lie.
Yes, I will lie.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
I will
right.
convince them that is the best
So-
course of action.
Yeah, I like this. Now, here's where we're going to ask for harmony for the first time tonight. You guys hear that. You see what he's trying to do, and you see that will gain you a huge advantage if it works. How do you help?
Mick is looking down, and He's going to straight up Jackie Chan down the chandelier, down the scaffolding,
Okay.
and as he gets down, as he gets slow enough to where he can jump off, he's gonna jump off, land, and he's gonna look to the Cardinals, and he is going to say, "The house that in which you worship does not hold weight, for it is those who are worshiping within it that truly matter. It is the people of God worshiping God that
Okay.
create the being and the power behind this place. For it
So-
is not written in the word that as long as two or more of my people gather, the Holy Spirit shall be there. In
Okay.
no place does that say it has to be a specific place. It can be anywhere.
Okay. So what skill would that be?
I think that's storytelling, honestly.
Okay. And what do you have in that?
I have it's only very good, so it's a
It's
2.
only
So
only a D10. Okay. So that's 2 D10s so far. Blake, you're still invisible, so you've got a chance to have quite an effect here as you're already at the bottom of the wall. What do you do to help Tyler convince them?
I am going to go off of what Mick had stated.
Yeah.
I'm going to use disguise
Okay.
in order to change my appearances.
Mhm.
Look like Mary Mother of God. There we go.
Okay.
Because she's still got that. They still have that feminine look to them, and
Sure.
they
Yeah.
just,
You can look like whatever you want. Yeah.
so
So-
they're gonna make themselves look like Mary Mother of God, but ghost-like, like a
Okay.
specter,
Yeah. Yeah. I can
and
see.
basically
Yeah,
just
I can see
stay
that
invisible until
potentially
they're up
happen.
right next to where most of the group is gathered,
Yeah.
and just like snap
Just,
her fingers,
just do the
snap their
fade
fingers,
in from the
and
background.
yes.
fade right in.
Oh, yeah, and my 21st century brain's going, this isn't going to work, and then I went, it's not the 21st century, dumbass. It's 1666. They just saw Mary. They don't even need to see it in a piece of toast. They just walk right there. So yes, what is your disguise skill? Very.
The regular skill.
So just
I have
a
it in
D8. Okay,
just a
excellent.
D8.
Just a D8. And that brings us around to Ted. All capitals Ted.
Yeah, so hearing what Tyler's saying, hearing what Mick says, hearing what they were kind of getting an idea, starting to see Blake fade in and sit there and call down from high again. And sit there, Mr. Wren, you seek to tear down this building. As it has been said, it is the flock that gathers that gives it strength. Be respectful, you shall, for I will not condone falsitudes within my house of worship.
Okay, that we're gonna
And-
do a separate roll on.
And so basically that's trying to there's ones that were thinking, oh, is that the voice of God?
Yeah,
Trying
yeah.
to just kind of like
just
get them
doubling
keeping
down
them
on
riled
that.
up.
Absolutely. Okay.
Deception again. So
Yeah.
just,
So I'm gonna keep that one separate. Tyler, you come down and say your piece. 2 D10s and a D8, please.
Alrighty.
Hopefully you got that funky rollout on the first one. There it is.
Ooh. 1 crit of a 10.
That is all that matters.
Nice.
because that last one was
You-
gonna hurt.
Drop down
Don't
onto the
worry about
ground. You do that thing just before you hit the ground where you prepare for it to hurt, and it doesn't, and you feel your Crocs go under your feet, after 50 years of walking around in leather-soled shoes, and you see these church members in front of you, even in the little bit of time that you've been gone. They don't believe. It's really obvious. And you hit them with that. What was the suggestion again? Go forth and do good works?
Yeah, it was to live a selfless life and to act like the people
Yeah.
in the Bible they worship so much.
Okay.
Just to-
And yes, 10, no, they will believe what you tell them, and there's no repercussions to you, because I suspect, because Tyler believes what he's talking about. And how would you, this isn't a lie, he's telling them the truth, right? He's just informing them. And they start pulling off all the regalia, their miters, they're putting down their all their gear, peeling off their pectoral crosses, even pulling off their rings and just piling them next to the altar. And just in plain white robes, they like a bunch of monk students, first year monk students, like that level of keenness to go out and do good in the world. And they just boil past Ren and out the door like he's not even there. At that point, the voice comes down from the on high to Ren, and he looks up into the darkness. He doesn't look very hard. He doesn't see you, but he's, my math versus your godhood any day of the week. Will you sons of bitches please make this? And that's as far as he gets before the group of priests that are left turn and start to approach him like a phalanx of God. When he said his brain was better than, they don't care if you're the real voice of God anymore. He has crossed a line in a church. So now, the situation that the four of you are in is Christopher Wren is about to get beaten to death in this church in front of you. And it's going to happen because you can smell the arrogance, even from 50 feet up, Ted. He's just an arrogant little prick. And he's not going to back down. He's not even going to accept that he's in trouble. He's going to try and talk down all these violent priests.
I'm gonna
I
ollie
was gonna say,
over some
okay.
pews and then hit the wall and then do a kickflip in front of all the parishioners, or sorry, the clergymen,
Yeah.
getting in the way, kicking my skateboard up, and go, if you sure, let the first person who is free of sin to cast the first stone. He's just trying
nice.
to like
Yeah.
buy time.
Okay. Yeah.
And as that happens,
Yep.
Mick, who I imagine is a long ways away, is going to use his enhanced strength to literally jump from where he is
Yep.
up and land directly in front of Red next to Tyler.
Hulk
And
jump. Yeah.
Yep, Hulk jump.
Okay. Yep.
And is just gonna look
And
at them.
that's just strength, so that's not a roll necessary. So yeah, we'll add some intimidation for that. So yeah. Perfect.
And he's just gonna add this little bit. As he said, words do not harm the power of God. Let what he says not impact what you believe, and let you go forth and spread the good word.
Okay. Ted, how do you add to this?
Looking down and just mumbling to himself where it's not going to be heard.
Yep.
Bloody idiots. And so it's like, you would murder a man within the house that is sacred to me? No. I'd just leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah, for reasons I'm not going to give an extra die for that, but yes,
Yeah.
that's what you're doing. So yeah, I got you.
Yeah, he basically
Yeah.
he's that the loudest
Yeah.
deep booming voice he can get the
Yep.
echo off.
I'm gonna
I just wanna
work
say
that
that-
with this. So I just want to get Blake's before we come around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blake, you are standing there, sort of fading in and out, as Mary, Mother of God. They are charging towards you. You are just behind these guys right now. So the three of you are all between the charging clergy and Christopher Wren.
Oh, okay. See,
Just to
that
make
was
it
what I was
easy.
wondering. I thought I
Yep.
was on the other side, but
Nah.
no, he's up there. Okay. So I'm in front of him.
Yep. This is the
Um,
boom, boom, boom graphic novel splash page.
Yeah.
The
I'm
three
gonna
of you
be
be
agile. I'm gonna
Yeah.
use my agility,
Yeah.
because I've improved it. So
Yes.
I'm gonna do that to get. You basically went like on the fade out.
Yeah.
Be Stop trying to bite me. Get agile enough to get behind Ren.
But you smell like French fries. I had to check.
Yeah, I she wants to play now,
Oh, yes.
unfortunately.
Yes. But
All right. Anyway, get behind get behind Ren.
yeah.
And then basically hold on, how do I work this? Let me review
All I
real
can
quick.
see, probably because we're 4 days away from Halloween, is Mary Magdalene jump scaring Christopher Wren. Boo! And then out of existence.
Yes.
It's not boo. It's
I
believe.
remember a picture probably that I had seen
Yeah.
in the church itself that depicts Mary holding on to the body of Jesus for some reason
Yep.
or another.
La Pieta. Yeah.
And so what I'm going to do is at the moment of invisibility, I'm going to make it look like I the fading out. I'm going to use the invisibility again,
Yeah.
and then agility to get behind Ren.
Yeah.
As I'm fading back in, I make him lie down in basically portraying the picture.
So you try and put him in that position. Okay.
Yeah.
To go for okay. The
So I
pose.
got
Okay.
agility, stealth.
Yep.
I mean, agility, disguise, deception, and stealth.
Sure. I'm gonna give you between that and the voice from above at the same time, that now makes sense. So yes. Tyler, with all of that, please give me 2 D10s and a D12, please.
All right. Yeah, to try and 2 D10s and a D12. Okay.
Yeah. Try and talk them.
Ooh,
into...
a crit
wow.
12.
Yes.
Wow,
Let's
this is a
go.
yes and. Okay. Tyler,
Cool.
this is when you start to talk and all that experience starts to pile up behind you, and within seconds they realize they're not talking to a child, they're talking to someone who has experienced beyond what they've experienced. All that weight of your years just comes pouring out of you in this wave. They stop completely. Several of them start to question their faith. You can see it in their eyes as they're sort of rocking, and other ones still think you're evil, but they're starting to they're no longer able to approach and try and stop you, right? You have frozen them. Ren is for the moment safe.
And I will.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I am just
Go ahead.
nerding out right now because this is exactly what happened when Jesus was a child in front of the Pharisees and he was preaching to them
Yeah.
with things he didn't know,
Yep.
couldn't know about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I will pivot. Probably, I think I have my skateboard out because it's
Yep.
like old,
Oh,
like
yeah.
riot thing. But
Yeah.
he pivots on one heel, and the camera like shifts, and he's an entirely different personality.
yeah.
And he goes, to Ren, he goes, "Listen here, you little shit. A little knowledge of science makes a man an atheist, but an in-depth study of science makes him a believer in God." Which is a real quote from Sir Francis Bacon.
Oh man, you got the
and-
fastest
and
fucking
he
fingers
like
I have ever seen.
looks him in the eye and goes, "If you can argue that the representation of a couple different numbers relating the circumference to the diameter of a circle was not preordained by a great being, then you have made a non-believer out of me. And he'll just like try
Yeah.
and be like, mathematics is the most beautiful thing in existence, and it is the language of God. And then turn back and goes, so yeah, please don't, we don't need to fight in a church. That'd be weird. You good?
A couple things happen all at once. Let's start with the clergy. They stop. There's a recognition on the few that are left. There's only a handful left, right? These were the hardest core ones that were against you. And they come to, you can see them, and the realization rolls over them that they've got it wrong. They've committed themselves to, or somehow been, the kid is right. So they start to back off, therefore changing the history of the church immeasurably between the three sets of commands that you gave to these people. But at the same time, because you spin around and start talking to the clergy, you don't see the two of you that are down low see this. You see Ren open his mouth to say something, and then he stops, and you see him start to think, and almost unconsciously it turns from this to this, and he drops on one knee in the church and starts to pray. In the rafters, Ted, still up there in the rafters, you look down on this whole scene, and you look outside, and on the horizon is a huge vortex spinning towards London. Well, spinning towards your part of London from Nowhere Road. It's massive. It's taking whole blocks at a time now. Just boom, 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 boom. You guys have seconds left. The doors of the church, in fact, just so everybody knows, the doors of the church are pulled off in the distance. Gone. You spin around and look, and the vortex is right there. You have moments.
Ren, do me proper. Build what needs to be here. Build what is in your hearts.
He opens up those rolls of paper that he's got on the floor in front of him, pulls out quill and ink, and starts crossing off huge sections. Those of you that are close see that what he had designed is ludicrous, unbuildable. 2023 unbuildable. It is not about a cathedral. It's about look at me as an engineer, right? There's buttresses and the whole thing is just a show off about Christopher Wren. And he's crossing off whole wings and redesigning things and going back to the simple cross form. I mean, relatively simple cross format of the one that you see. And you watch him, and in that moment, you can see all of it changing. There's that pivot again. And as you start to fade, let's start with Ted. Everything goes black. You're up there by yourself. Everything goes black. And a moment later, you pop back. And you are at home. Home. Cut. Blake. Same thing. You're standing there looking down at Christopher Wren, seeing this, seeing him redesign this, seeing what will be arguably one of the nicest pieces of Gothic architecture ever done. You can see him stripping it down and making it about that glory of God, that symbol that you showed him by putting him in that position. I keep wanting to call it La Pieta. It's pity. I don't think that's the one. I think that's the one with the baby. I think maybe that's the baby Jesus. Either way, it doesn't matter. I know which one you mean, right? I know which one you mean. You caused a scientist in a scientific era to have a religious moment, is my point, and to peel down his own ego and make something stunning in the worship of a being rather than in the worship of his own ego. And in that second, bang, you're back in your apartment?
Yeah.
Okay, click. Mick, same thing. You're looking around. It's like, I've made a difference, right? We helped change this world. We helped change everything. Black, bang. You're in the bathroom at the restaurant that you're having lunch with your sister in. So you pop back in time to a spot you already popped back to once. Leave you there. And Tyler, you got a 12, like a 12 on your last roll, which is everything you wanted and more. So what you tell me as you fade out the long-term effects that your 3 statements had on ye old Church of England. No pressure as you pop home.
Ooh. I feel as though there is a strange launch forward in the need for proper public education, as well as pushing that the mission of the church, the Anglican Church, I guess, of it was it Anglican back in the 1600s at this time period.
I don't know. I don't know either. So yeah,
The
go.
Church of England
I don't
always
remember. I
has
should
to
have
be
looked.
that
Yeah.
as a part of their mission is the progress of the understanding of natural phenomena throughout the world. So
Okay.
the Great British Empire pivots entirely, avoiding a lot of really bad pseudoscience and pushing
Yep.
towards fundamental great understandings in biology, chemistry, and physics.
Thus
And
dramatically
hopefully
expanding the Renaissance.
that leans away from all the terrible
Yes.
inhumanities of
Yep.
all of existence, because if you get into the science behind everything, everyone's the same
Yes.
type of person. We're all human beings. Don't feel pain differently. We don't exist differently. We're just people. We all love. And hopefully that's the whole thing that the church becomes a little bit more based in, which is a lot of people's interpretation of the Christian Bible is it's just knowledge and love. So
at that moment, because you were the closest to the vortex, you got time. You see the history that you're passing through before you're back. Home. Not England home, but school trips over, you're back home. You look at your phone right away, and the date is the day that you were supposed to come home from this trip.
Yeah, I guess my parents are just waiting for me at the airport.
Yep. Yeah, you pop back into the bathroom in the airport. I love it.
There you go.
Get us. We're gonna do this real quick, short. Like, how do you react immediately? And then I want to tell you. I'm going to go around, and each one of you is going to tell me what you do. But real quick, all 4 of you, as you pop back, have got a window or something near you. You can see London. It's almost nebulous. It's almost building itself in front of you. But building itself is the key element. This isn't programmed. This is natural. It's still a hologram, but somehow it's self-aware. It's trying things and failing. It's trying other things and learning. You can see that as the reality starts to build in these key changes. What's your initial response to that? Let's go the other way around. Let's start with Tyler.
Being very overwhelmed, realizing and checking in the airport bathroom that he is alone.
Yeah.
Feeling like his heart's gonna burst through his chest, like when he had a heart attack when he was of a beyond middle age, and check his phone and realize that he has a letter in his pocket from someone. But we'll get to that later.
Perfect. That's your reaction. Blake.
The way I'm going to play this out is that they will sit up.
Yeah.
And look around and then see, they'll be lying down on the couch. So then they'll sit up they'll look at towards the window and start seeing this, she'll just get up and walk over in a daze and just stare at it for a while. I
And
mean,
as you look at
just
parts of it,
mesmerized, pretty
yeah,
much.
it's like looking at it causes it to settle in, and
Mhm.
you realize, yeah, it's very much Schrodinger's world out there right now. Things may or may not be. It's all in a state of flux. Mick.
So Mix, I imagine he like drops back, hands on the counter in front of him, his head's down, and like he slowly raises the head and look at himself at the mirror. But I imagine with what's happening is the mirror for the bathroom's actually the window that's looking out into London,
Yep, I love it.
and he feels like this moment is in like an in-between space. So he reaches into his jacket pocket, pulls out one of his Churchill cigars,
Yep.
lights it, takes a long, slow puff, and just simply says to himself, I don't know if I did good or bad, but I know that I'm different. And then that's
Yeah. Ted.
So, he pops back. He's sitting at his table in the dining room where all this started when he started feeling that initial pull.
Yep.
Stand up, walk over to the window where he can look out from the. He's got a loft flat. He looks out over London, and he doesn't have a view to all the spots that they went from here, but there's a few of them,
Oh yeah.
and he focuses in on each one of those couple that he can see from here, and just kind of watches them solidify into a reality. And then he walks over, picks up his backpack, checking it for a weight.
Yep. It's still there.
I got plans for you. And
Solid gold yeah, legions. Yeah. So with that, let's turn the circle around the other way again. After you've had whatever it takes, minutes, days, months, years, whatever it takes to process what you went through, let's start with Mick.
so
What does that look like? What is the future? What does post change the world? A couple days later, everything's solidified now. It's a new place. It's probably a better place. There's a lot of things that you guys have changed historically, and all of it was sort of directed towards this nicer future, and that shows. So, in that world, what do you do?
so a few days later, Mick has reconnected with his sister, and he ends up taking a position to be the head of security at the Tate Museum, working with his sister.
Yep.
And he just observes, and it allows him to have a firsthand view of the changes that they had done
Mm-hmm.
and seeing them recorded. And he works there for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And then he saves up some money, and he opens up the world's first bar and gym called Valhalla's Way.
Okay.
And basically it has some, like, he takes pieces of all the different things that they went and did. Like there's pieces from Boudica's era, Londinium, like
They're all
not like
drinks.
direct pieces,
They're all
like
drinks on the menu. Yeah.
Yep, all drinks on the menu. And or food items or anything, just referencing what he experienced. But the biggest thing is that on the entrance going into the place and then going into both the bar side and the gym side, and as you exit is a sign that he had Tyler write for him in Tyler's writing saying be excellent to each other, to remind people that yes, this is a bar and grill, but at the end of the day, we all need to be excellent with each other. And he runs that for several years, and he eventually he passes that down to a coworker of his, because Vic never gets married, doesn't have children, ends up buying a plot of land in Scotland and becomes a farmer
Okay.
and drinks a lot of eyeballs and smokes a lot of cigars.
Yep. Fair enough. What do, stepping out of that just a tiny, tiny bit, what do people that know Mick say when you ask them about Mick?
I think Mick, if asked to describe himself after everything that
Nope,
has
that's not what I
happened,
asked. That's not what I asked. The other people in the town. When I go into that town and walk into that place 2 months after you retired from the bar, and ask the guy behind the desk, what was he like? What are they going to tell me? Mick's going to be humble and shit. That's why I didn't ask Mick. So,
oh,
what do your friends and colleagues think about Mick as a mature, 10 years later person?
so I think the ringing thing that comes through from his sister, his coworker who took over the bar, is the fact that Mick always gave of himself more than he ever asked from anyone else. He always tried to make sure the next person who came in that door walked out with more than what he walked in with.
And is it fair to say that that is diametrically opposed to the Mick we met 10 episodes ago?
Oh, hell yes.
Thank you.
Mi-
Anything else you want to add?
just to sum it up, it's basically Mick going from it is all about me to becoming the embodiment of putting everyone else before himself
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
just
That's a character.
literally living out being excellent to
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah, you didn't just teach the lesson, you learned it, right? Beautiful.
Yep.
Thank you. Blake, let's start with you. What's that short-term reaction, that sort of 3 to 5 days, just beyond that? What's the first thing that Blake does when they get their feet back on the ground?
Basically, they are going to go back and reflect as far as all the different things that they've been through, all the different, things that they've done to try and help get this taken care of, working with the group and whatnot.
Yeah.
They originally went into this thinking, I'm going to define myself. I'm going to make myself a he, she, whatever.
Yeah.
They did find themselves, but not in that particular way. They did make a choice, though.
Mm-hmm.
They have decided to remain a they, them,
Mm-hmm.
but make themselves look more gender neutral. So they're taking the hormones to make sure that they don't look feminine anymore.
Yep.
They go through and get a breast reduction surgery, whatever, and they make themselves look gender neutral. They don't look like a man, they don't look like a woman, they look like a person to them.
Yeah.
Then remembering how they were when they portrayed the queen, right now when they were doing Mary Mother of God, when they were portraying different people, got them to realize that they had a knack for acting. So it was a little bit hard at first, but eventually, they started off in little places doing, of all things, Shakespeare.
Fair enough. Yep. Thank you for the callback. Yeah.
after some of that firsthand experience. So they started off with Shakespeare playing different parts. They got the director to give them both male and female parts, because more male than female, I think.
Yeah.
Either way, they would portray both, and the audience of course would not be able to tell that I was
Oh.
both a male.
More
I was
than
part
that,
of
you
one
become
part. You know,
in my
you know what
mind,
they
you
did,
become an icon for this, right?
basically.
Yeah.
Eventually, it rolls out into the movies, where they
Yeah.
start starring in movies being both genders in different movies. So basically, it becomes like Blake. It's a gender neutral name to begin with.
Yeah.
So, you know, basically, a lot of the world for a long time begins to wonder what what gender they really are. Some of them, others, they're like, I don't care. This is cool. And like in the end, it comes out, that they're transgender. They prefer to be both.
Fair enough. What I
Yeah.
hear from this is that this adventure gave Blake the energy and the bravery to be who they really were.
Exactly.
It's that
It
push.
allowed them to
Yeah.
open themselves up. It was a eye-opening experience.
The trust in yourself. I love it. Thank you. Let's do Ted next.
So, first couple days, Ted pretty much stays in his flat on the computer.
Yeah.
He is looking up, researching everything that they touched to see what its final outcome in this new reality was. Looking for references, looking and pulling up, Google Maps, because evidently it's not Google anymore.
Mhm.
But he's looking at the maps of the areas, finding where they've been, some of the Roman camps, what's there now, what's the
Mhm.
influences that they minimize. He spends days just compiling a list of things that have changed, that he still remembers the old.
Mhm.
Once he does
nine
that,
different versions of the old in some cases.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so once he does that, he sits there and he takes a little vacation, and he heads up north, up along the coast, and he finds that spot where that Roman camp had been,
Uh-huh.
where food warehouses evidently are very flammable.
Yep. Everything in the Roman times was flammable. It's the number one cause of their buildings coming down, historically speaking, is fire.
So, looking around the area, he basically kind of does a little bit of scoping out,
Yep.
and then he finds
Uh-huh.
this golden legionnaire standard.
Yep.
And of course, you have to report it to the National Treasury Act.
Yes. And you get a chunk.
But
yeah.
But after it's determined to be real, because they can trace the gold back as
Yep.
to where its origin, laser ablation will do that for us.
Yep.
He basically sits there and is so enthralled by this history and the fact that almost no Roman legion standards have ever been preserved through history, and to find this here in Britain. So he starts taking some,
especially since you found it in London. It was never up here. It's the wrong legion. You're going to be rewriting history in the traditional sense instead of in the yeah, I got you.
So
yeah,
he starts taking some history classes and just kind of starts hooking up with some of the professors that are going out on digs, because he's got a real interest in this now.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically will come to them every now and then with a little bit of research that suggests maybe we should look here, maybe we should look here.
Yep.
And he just starts doing different stuff and just
You become the presenter on
pushing.
Time Team. So
And so, but the other thing is, he has stopped any of the con man stuff that he was doing for personal gain.
yeah,
Because everything he's doing now is pulling history for everybody. He wants knowledge. So he's doing different things here and there, just leading people to where they'll discover more.
so you
And
become like Bill Nye the History Guy.
There you go.
one of
Yeah.
the other things he does is he basically puts together a package and it is sent off to a law firm. And it is in a secured trust holder. And basically he's done, this one is one that takes him a few months to put all this together, but it's a nice sizable package and it's put into a secure trust. And he knows it'll be he's already had this planned out, but it's finally ready. And so he figures it'll maybe one day it'll be worth it. But no more conning to make money in his pocket. His little Legionnaire, standard,
Yeah,
made it where he didn't have to worry about that anymore.
fair enough. And so you become, in my eyes, a fairly famous one of those. The cool part with sort of TV and the internet is you can be famous for something without having a degree in it anymore, right? So you're like famous for being a great historian without necessarily having the degree. I love it. You knew we were going to save you for last because you got two stories to tell, kind of. Tyler / Francis. After this, I mean, I'm just going to recap. You were 13, you were on a school trip. Suddenly you're traveling through time and space, changing everything. Some of the changes were good, some were bad. Then you got stuck. You spent 50, you got a whole family, a whole life. And then bang, you're back here. Let's start from there.
Gets picked up by his parents, is a bit distant at first,
Mm-hmm.
and by at first a while,
Yeah.
probably a really long time.
Yep.
Lots of math hasn't changed, so he's
Yep.
doing really well in school. He's doing better in history. Starts to get into a few different situations where they think he might be cheating because of how suddenly, like while he's doing.
Oh,
So then
yeah.
it's a weird balance of pretending to not know answers to things, or
Yep.
maybe kind of some montages of him arguing with his high school teachers about history or taking a religion class, and having disagreements about what was said, and some of the logistics of be excellent to each other that's trickled down now.
Yeah.
And things like that, and maybe some frustration of having your ideas play a game of telephone for 400 years or
Sure. Yeah. Oh,
things
yeah.
like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
But in the couple of years before he goes off to university, he kind of snaps back into his regular life, starts trying, does decently well if someone
Yeah.
in their 50s or 60s that now has all their brain power back and
Yeah.
and energy back, does very well in school, maybe like a little scary well, and kind of has his pick. And in the moments when he gets his university letter back from, we'll say it's one of the more prestigious ones, we'll say it's like Caltech or Harvard
Brown.
Yeah.
or Brown. He's
Yeah.
looking to probably go into
How about
physics.
Oxford back in England?
And yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Another one is another one of those, but he has those letters up, and he kind of runs back into his room, cuts into it, Parents are probably banging on the door,
Yep.
and he knew that he had enough marks to get in.
Yeah.
And he kind of like looks, and he has all these choices.
Yeah.
And he has all this positivity, and the weight of going through all the hard parts of life again start to wash over him. But there's in this stack up of letters that he has on his desk, there's one off to the side that's written in nice cursive for Tyler that he hasn't opened yet. And instead of talking to the people that can't talk about it, he opens up the letter. And what does it say, Ted?
Hello, Tyler. I can't understand what you've been going through all these years. You were living another life. It really doesn't seem like the kind of thing that one could explain. We would have had to have been there. I truly hope that you will take the knowledge you have and move mountains in your second go at this thing called life. Few of us get a do-over, and from the bit that I've figured out, you had a pretty amazing time of it, barring the smell and the shite in the roads. I hope that the loss of what you had back then won't stop you from continuing your life here. All those that cared for you are still here, and they won't have a clue what's wrong if you drift from them. Cling tight to those that matter while you work through it all. I don't even have the words for it. But I do have something for you. You don't need to get it now. It is something that is being held in trust by the law firm Thompson, Snell, and Passmore. They're the oldest practicing law firm in the world, 453 years. They were practicing while you were running around London. Thought maybe you might have done business with them before. When you are ready, reach out to them and ask for the Secured Trust Division. They will prompt you for a passcode. Wild stallions forever, and be excellent to one another. They will ship the package to wherever you are in the world. Thanks for getting yourself pulled into this mess of ours. Seeing the way you just said what you thought was right, not the jaded, smart-ass replies I might give, made me pause. You pushed that path of peace into so many that we met, and though I know you couldn't push me, I saw the change too. Don't worry, not 100%, but enough that I made some changes in my life and what I want to do going forward for a while, or while going forward. Anyway, if you ever need to talk to someone that might have the slightest idea what you've got running around in your head, give me a call. Friend hooked me up with a US cell a while back. Only 2 people have the number, and I stopped taking calls from one. 410-555-7272. Skate straight, my young friend, and always keep the camera steady. Your friend, Tyler Edward Decker, aka Ted. The package is a package of deep detailing of the life of Sir Francis Bacon. All his descendants, from his wife and kids forward through to descendants of today, listing all of the details of the great accomplishments that his family has made to the world, from basically his children with the memory of their fallen father who gave his life for the city of London, and onward, successfully pushing signs of peace and such. But Tyler would have more knowledge of that.
Yeah, he probably on summer break after graduating his undergrad from university, he's in London and gets a large crate
Yeah.
dropped off. And
Yeah.
he's gonna pop it open. He's gonna grab the first set of letters that are in chronological order, Okay, let's see what you boys got up to. And he's gonna walk into the cemetery and read about the story of his children and bask in London
Are
for the
you
first time
are
in a
you
while.
sitting on your own grave? Are you sitting on Francis
Um,
Bacon's grave reading this
he's
stuff? Where are you?
reading his
Yeah.
stuff and immediately being in the same. He probably didn't want to go back to London until
Yep.
he was like ready to like
Oh yeah.
deal with everything.
Yeah.
So probably he's on his like, yay, I've graduated trip.
Yeah.
But it's more like a very macabre. I'm in the sect or
Yeah.
the plot that is like the family burial
Yeah.
plot of
Oh,
Bacon's, and he's gonna go kind
so
of one by one
that one
and
one
just
matching
read about
headstones.
their story and
Oh.
talk to himself and kind of go through and gets a few like orders and goes. Eventually, it kind of does a time lapse of him reading it through a couple days and nights, kind of with like a flashlight out. Very strange scenario for anybody that's passing by,
Yeah.
but definitely like gets to a point and looks down and goes, "Oh, this is getting into okay. That's very different and not in my field of research. Okay." And probably going further into like 1900s physics and like
Oh yeah.
understanding and all the other stuff, and eventually his family's moving to the west coast of America, and he's gonna probably come back and unpack any possible familial connections to his own life.
Very cool. I like that. That's a whole adventure by itself.
Mhm.
How the hell do you tell somebody you're their great grandfather when you're 20 years younger than they are? But anyway,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but yes, I love that. Thank you both for that. That one got me. I got heart palpitations from the love of it, and then I actually got a shiver, like goosebumps and a shiver from the sitting in the graveyard, matching gravestones to the stories. Oh, I love it. I have a couple of questions. Do any of you look each other up? And if so, how
I
long?
was
How long do you wait?
I have a couple things.
Yep.
Was first off, I forgot to mention it, but every year on the day that all this happens
Yep. It was
at
basically one
Valhalla's
night. Yeah.
Way, there is a night. It's called the Churchill three night,
Uh-huh.
and it gets all done up in World War II and medieval regalia,
Yeah. Absolutely. So
and
you have the moment of memory.
that
Yep.
goes on every year on that night, and Mick would probably send all of them. Like, Mick wouldn't be one of those people who would go out and try to find them, but he would send them basically lifetime free anything at his bar.
Free drinks. Gotcha.
Free drinks, free gym membership, free food.
So yeah. So you put out the offer. Blake.
I'm going to say that because of the creation of that Churchill 3 thing,
Yeah.
that at first, of course, the first couple of years, they're not really well known.
Yeah.
But once they
Oh.
know more about that
Yeah.
and that they have an actual reenactment
Yeah.
that they do on a stage,
Yeah.
they go and reprise their
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
acting
Yeah.
of the Queen
Yeah.
and just basically goes to town with it and has a blast.
Like watching a
It
famous
becomes like
actor
a
show
standard.
up and do a set at the comedy club. It's like yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
And,
Beautiful.
Blake just continues reprising the role until they're too old to be able to do so, of course. But just basically has a boatload of fun.
Yep.
Because they remain in England after
Ah.
touring around, they might try and find Tyler.
Yeah.
Just to pop in and say hello. Definitely stop by Mick's bar a couple times.
Oh yeah. You got a membership. You're allowed.
Yeah. and hopefully run into Ted there once in a while. But that's about it.
And as we all know, you can never get out of a gym membership.
But it's free.
Yes, yes. Every month they tell you that it's free. You can't leave, but it's free. So some content, I like that. It's not like a we're friends forever because it was only one night, but it's also not I never want to see these people again.
Ted does
yeah.
take up the free
The free
free
membership,
drinks.
the
And
free
on
drinks.
the
Gotcha.
Churchville,
Okay.
on the Churchville 3 night.
I
is
have
there.
Yeah, perfect. I have two people. There are two loose ends to wrap up. One is the engineer that we dropped off in Christopher Wren's world and never brought back. Anybody doing the research discovers that they become something as close to a friend as Christopher Wren ever had, and probably made it possible by applying 21st century technology and skills to that art form, to that building. So quite possibly helped Wren build at the level that he built at. I didn't just forget him back there. The other one that we lost in translation, quite literally, as we translated to a new hologram, is our good friend Callum. And I don't want to leave him lost because, well, I'll let Callum tell you. When he gets sucked out of his room and back into the vortex, his flash of blackness followed by the light is him coming home. And he rolls out onto the dirt and straw covered floor of a Scottish grand hall. And he stands up and dusts himself off and looks around at all the people standing around it. And at the head of the table, at the very front, is someone who looks a lot like Callum, but bigger, older. And he looks down the floor and he says, "So, what have you got to say for yourself?" Callum stands up and dusts off his sporran. He says, "I did it. I saved one." The guy says, "Great, you're 1 for 24. Callum grins and says, "Yeah, but there's a bonus this time." "Bonus? What?" "We managed to get a Scottish Pope." And that is where we'll drop the curtain on Callum. Holy cow. Anything anybody wants to add about the characters before we put the big heavy black curtain down on this one?
I do think it would be fitting that if the pot of land in Scotland that Mick purchased was where Callum lived way back then.
Oh, perfect. Yep. And technically, because you own land in Scotland, you're technically a lord.
Yep.
As we all know
Lord
from the ad,
Mickey
which
O'Land.
must be telling the truth. Yeah. Yeah, an Irish lord in Scotland. Oh,
I know, it's great.
Oh, you better put up walls. That's all I got to say. There's going to be an invasion, an international incident. But thank you for lightening the mood. I want to, I mean, it's time for this bit. I want to thank everybody. And I really, really, really extra mean it this time because this is the second time I've done the whizzing through history, changing stuff story. Clearly, I love it to pieces. Both times it's been done exceptionally well by the players. Everybody just blew my mind and did amazing things and changed the world in interesting ways. And I like that very, very much. But I have been told by the first group that I ran through something like this that it's a whole different thing. It's not Dungeons and Dragons. It's this weight of history, sort of whether you believe it or not, sort of hanging over you, makes it different. So thank you guys for volunteering. Thank you for going hard and changing history, living with those changes, choosing to avoid the times that I didn't keep up with some of the changes, but never mind. I appreciate that very much. But thank you all very, very, very much. Eddie, I don't know if you expected to play 3 different ages of Tyler when you started, but I appreciate the effort. The voice just
No.
fell out of you in 1660 1613 or whatever, 1666 or whatever it was. I loved it. And then the end, seeing that slightly older Tyler, the university age one, sitting in the graveyard, sort of that in between. He's not a boy anymore, but he's not the man that he once became. I'm always impressed with your acting as well as your role playing. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was it was an interesting RP experience, and I like how all my silly characters end up serious somehow.
Somehow. And as usual, speaking of RP experiences, I did what I always do. The further we get into the story, the less we use the rules. So, thank you for coming and telling a great story. There was no moment of the 10 adventures that I thought wouldn't make a great graphic novel, basically as performed. So, that's a level of skill that I'm very proud to be part of. Sean, thank you for joining us. I mean, you're like the double levels of brave for this, because you went, yeah, I want to be in this game, but also like you don't spend the time in the group that some of the other folks do. So it was very flattering to get the message from you saying, "Can I be in that?" So thank you for that. Thank you for bringing this character, this guy. Like it always, I always appreciate characters that are just some dude, like they're not, oh, I'm great at this, I'm great at that, I'm great at this. It's just, I was on my couch and I don't know what happened. Can I please have a beer? I love those characters. So thank you for bringing
Yeah.
Ted to us. I think Ted as well as Blake, but Ted really got to know themselves in this adventure in that one night, and really remade who he was that next morning, so to speak, right? At the morning after
Yep.
the Scrooge morning, right? You wake up in the morning and it's just like buying turkeys and being good and just, just yeah. It was a
He
great
was
moment.
always about making that quick buck for
Yeah.
himself, but he saw that making a difference in people's lives and just the change that they could do. He was
Yeah.
like,
This
there's
game
more out there.
this game was
And
never intended
seeing
to
it.
be, yeah, this game was never intended to be a be nice to each other writ large. That's on you guys, not on me, but damn it, thank you. I couldn't have written it better. Um, so Solar Dasher, thank you for Blake, for that exploration, that experiencing all that history from a place that isn't solid and firm, right? If you get my drift, like they're
Yeah.
still trying to figure out who they are. So how the hell does somebody who don't know who they are react to outrageous situations? And you did that beautifully well. You spent like 10 weeks off balance. It was absolutely wonderful. It's fun to watch. And again, I always enjoy watching people who are willing to play characters that have weaknesses and have flaws and aren't sure of themselves and aren't hyper confident. I love watching that. And to see at the end of it that the payoff was that they became brave enough and strong enough to be their true selves. That's a beautiful lesson to take out of all of this, along with to be nice to each other, be excellent to each other.
Right.
Uh,
I agree. Which,
uh,
like at the end of, I'm gonna add this like little tidbit.
please.
So like when she was in the plays, when they were in the plays at the end of the play, you know how they all come out and they
Yeah.
bow and stuff. Just like a tribute to everything that's been going on that helped her become the person she is today, she'll just go, "Be excellent to each other," and then bow.
At the end of every performance. I absolutely love it. Oh, wow. Aaron, Mick, Mick struggled. Man, Mick probably spent more time, in my head, spent more time going, than anybody else, and just desperately trying to solve problems by just pouring information on it and pouring words on it. It was so interesting to watch, just you trying to figure this, like how the hell Mick is going to cope. So again, that less than perfect character, that character that's like, I lift heavy things, and then you got put in a situation where you had to lift heavy emotional things and didn't know how to do it and figured it out, and I love that. So thank you. When you came back and did the whole learning history to make your bar better, to make it more of a tribute to what happened and all of that, absolutely wonderful. Thank you all. And I think the best thank you that I can give the four of you is the world of London that you built. it's a much, much nicer place than the one that we started in. Like by orders of magnitude, a nicer place in a nicer world with nicer world religions, and Renaissance happened early, and you cut short the Dark Ages, and you left an engineer in the past that made one of the most beautiful buildings in the world with an egomaniac. I mean, it just the depth of the tale, right? It's and I think the best thank you I can give you is that better world that you made. So thank you with that.
I do think just one final thing is, besides just thank you all for dealing with Mickey and all of his shenanigans, is I do think it would be funny if the group got together later in life
Yep.
and made a movie where each played their own character of telling
Yeah.
the story only in movie form. I think that would be pretty cool.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Tyler will
Tyler's
probably
got the
invite
equipment. Yeah.
the lot of you to invite the lot of you to his wedding when he's
yeah.
like in his late 20s.
Mhm.
And if that gets mentioned, he'll go, yeah, I still have I still have the movie rights to all my streams.
Yep.
So if we want to option them, we got the star power with Blake here.
And if you remember, we have one of the things you have is a series that was released that nobody can figure out how you did in that
Yep.
tiny amount of time, but it's the whole 50 years in
Years.
Shakespearean time
Yep.
as
And that
one
is
playlist.
currently going viral.
It is. Yeah. Thank you so much. Speaking of which, yeah, you guys were supposed to be the virus in the system, but I changed it at the last second. I didn't want to change names. So, so yes, thank all of you. Thank you to everybody who showed up in chat. Again, these history ones, some people don't like them just because it's history and it makes them think of school. I promise I won't teach you anything. But thank you for showing up. I appreciate all of that. Yes, thank you, Bat Kyle, and everybody else that's out there and has been out there all the way through. If you're watching this on YouTube in the future, I hope you watched all of them because makes way more sense. It's only 10 2-hour episodes. It's like 2 days. But thank you all for watching them. And if you got all the way to here, please hit that like button to let us know that you did. Because as much as we do this for fun and wondrousness, it is, at least for me, very nice to know that we're being watched. So thank you for that. Because
He's watching.
because what it comes down to in the end is, I mean, you guys phrased it one way, I phrased it another way, but for tonight, we're going to use yours. So until next time, please be excellent to each other. Yeah.
Thank you,
Good night,
Kevin.
everyone.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.